Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we'll be talking about Cytress. This game is designed by Sean Lee. The artwork is by Riot Bones, and it is published by Tress Games. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see our videos as they come out like this. This is how they come out. Video.
Boom. It's coming at you. All right, you guys, in this game, the man is bringing you down. Literally, you are taking place on the bottom of this world. The whole underworld of this planet is being run by gangs, but you are trying to rise above. There is a literal 3D standing upper echelon of this city of all the rich hoity-toity folks. That's where you want to be.
Hoity-toity.
But you got to claw your way to the top. Let me show you how it works. All right, here's our setup for Cytress. As you can see, we've got a very large kind of a setup going on here. In the middle there, we're going to have our different areas based off the number of players. That's where we're going to be building our tubes. We're using those tubes to get to the top of our city there. That's where we want to be. That's where all the high rollers are living. This is kind of the slum. This is where a lot of the gang activity happens. We actually have 4 gangs that we're going to kind of have to do business with in order to get enough credentials to get up to the top where we want to be. This game has some worker placement elements to it. So for instance, you have a leader. The leader can go to any one of those 4 different spots on the board to gather some resources. That's the way to start the round. This game is played in rounds. The first round, all you're doing is kind of gathering some resources, and it's all based off your personal player board, and I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. But then the second round, you have a leader. Your leader's going to go to one of those 4 sections on the board, play it out there, and you're going to gain some resources based off of which place you go to. Then you have 3 ships. Those 3 ships can be placed anywhere on the board. There's actually 9 different spaces where ships can go. They also can go to these locations, but now instead of gathering resources, now you're spending resources in order to grab these cards off the side and complete missions. That also allows you to place team members out on the board, which is going to help you get points at the end of the game and allow you to build those structures that you need in order to get to the top of the city. Underneath the city, there's 2 more spots where you can go. Those are basically ways that you can actually spend your resources that you've been gathering in order to build the pipes that you need to go up to the top. On the left side, you basically have what's called the Meet the Stratolites. That is the way that you can use these cards here. Basically, it shows you have to use this exact resource, and it has to be on this exact color of hex on the middle of the board there in order to use that spot. But if you're able to do that exactly how the card says, you are going to be able to get a free action at the end of the round. However, if you go over here, on the right side of the board, that is meeting the net prowlers. Alright, so when you do that, basically you can spend anything you want, however you do not get that free action at the end of the round. The more resources you spend, the higher up you're going to be able to go, and it's going to be worth more victory points at the end of the game. Also, there's kind of a race element to it as well. The sooner you get there, the more likely you are to get some extra free resources, which is great. The last 3 spots that you can go to are down here. Basically, this middle spot here, you can go to meet the merchant. What you can do is you can trade in goods for other goods. And there's going to be cards that are going to allow you to make that even a better, sweeter deal. So right now it's a 1-to-1 ratio. I can trade in purple for orange, let's say. 1-to-1. But once I get some cards, I'll be able to trade in for maybe 1 purple. I can turn it into 4 oranges or whatever based off of whatever cards I've gathered. The spot over here, the loan shark. You can go over here, grab one of these cards. You can gain those resources. However, at the end of the game, if you have not yet paid off your debts, you're going to get some negative victory points. Also over here, you can go to the bounty hunter. You can achieve any one of those cards by basically completing missions. When you go on missions all over the boards, what you're going to do is you're going to get these cards. And these cards have 2 pieces of information on them. What skill it took to get them. This one is loot. And then we also have who it's against. In this case, it's privateer. Then there's the 4 different gangs. There's also the 6 different skills. What you can do is, once you've acquired 3 of one of the different factions, you can go to the bounty hunter, and then you can say, hey, you know what? I've done 3 missions against the rovers, which is one of the factions, so now I get these extra victory points at the end of the game if you're the first one to get there. And again, there's more cards out there based off of the number of players. Almost all the boards are double-sided, including the main city itself, so it's kind of balanced based off the number of players. In addition to the different factions that you'll be fighting against, you also have different skills that you'll be trying to achieve as well. You're going to be dealt a couple different cards here at the beginning of the game. They're going to mention some different skills that you might try to get. Once you've achieved 3, let's say, loot skills, then you're going to be able to take the loot skill over here, down at the bottom of the board. It's going to be a little benefit here that basically says all loot missions now are reduced by 1 in terms of cost. So again, kind of drilling down on 1 or 2 different kinds of skills is going to be beneficial in terms of getting those. And it's kind of a first come, first serve thing. When you go on a blue mission, which is the privateer district, you're going to be able to place also one of your crew members on the board. matching that color. Let's say you go to the Rover District, do a mission there. Maybe you do one at the Hula Gangs, it's in orange. You're going to keep on dropping these cubes all over the board. What you can do is, once you've achieved enough of the supplies, the resources, what you can do is you can spend them, place your crew on that spot on the board, and place towers there. This kind of represents the lines that you're using to climb up through to get to the various levels of the city. The more resources you spend, the higher you're going to be able to build, and the more victory points you're going to get as well. When you're setting up the game, what you're going to do is you're going to set aside 7 times the number of players worth of those little tubes. And then once those runs out, that triggers the end of the game. You might be able to use some more as well, kind of bring those in from the supply. But basically that triggers the end of the game. You're going to fully finish that round. And at the end of that round, that is the end of the game. You're going to get victory points, again, based off of how high you are up in Stratus, all the different cubes you have there. 15 points in the top level, 10 points in the middle, and 5 points in the bottom level. Also, you're going to get points for the different cubes you have placed on the board and having majorities surrounding those different tubes. So if I'm the only person surrounding that tube right there, I'm going to get points based off of how high it is. Here is every player's individual player boards. We all start with some resources, and here's our resource track here. There's 4 different resources again. We also have our leader and our 3 ships that we're going to be able to move out onto the board. There's a couple of reminders here about the different phases of the game as well. Then we have our own individual players. We've got a whole bunch of different boards you can choose from. They're all slightly different in terms of what benefits they give you, but they're all balanced in that way. We all have starting lifelines going off in these 4 different colors and 4 different directions, and we're going to be able to add onto them when we add our mission cards onto them. So do something like that, and now we've got that much stronger of ability on that card. And you can keep on adding to make it even better. The yellow spot up here, this is the Corpocrat life path. And on that, what's going to happen is it's going to be basically income for you. So you're going to take one of those blue resources because that's what you started with. And if you had more cards there, you would take even more resources. The blue one over here, this is the Privateer life path. What you're going to do with that is basically whenever someone else uses their leader, their big one over there, to go to a certain location on the board, if that matches up with any of your symbols, you're going to gain some resources based off of that. So if someone goes to pink, we've got 1, 2, 3 pink. We're going to get 3 pink resources. Over here is our rover life path. That is where we're going to be able to exchange our different resources. Remember on the board when we go to meet the merchant, we're going to be able to exchange things at a 1-to-1 ratio. Well, the more we have added on here, the better that's going to be. If we added a couple cards like this, perhaps, now we can trade, let's say, 2 of the yellow resources in for 6 of the orange, because we have 3 there. So we're getting a better rate of return and more resources by adding on those cards. And then we have the final phase over here. This is the orange. This is the Hula Gang life path. This basically counts as a discount when you go into certain locations. So for instance, right now we're getting a 1 yellow discount because of our life path. And again, of course, the more we add on, the more discounts we're going to be able to get.
Well, first of all, this game is just visually stunning. So you have that tiered thing where you can take all those actions and you put your cubes on when you build the tubes. But it looks, even just like the different spots that you can travel to and then the spots in the middle, all of it together is stunning. Like, this is a game that if it were set up at a convention, when you'd walk by, you would definitely do a double take, right? You would be very interested in what was happening because the artwork was stunning. Visually, it was stunning. How it was set up on the board was just very stunning.
Yeah, across the room, you're just like, what is that?
Yes.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to go to there. All right, yeah, I loved it about this game. Probably my favorite part was these lifelines. You could go to these factions, and they would give you cards, these mission cards that would basically allow you to extend your lifelines. And on these lifelines were basically additional resources that you could get, or discounts that you could get, or trade ways that you could mess with the trade ratios. And I love being able to mess with those things to kind of work this really efficient kind of engine thing.
Yeah.
There's a game called Imperial Settlers. It's one of my favorite games in terms of engine building, and that gave me huge, Imperial Settlers vibes. You're able to kind of increase these different cards out there, run this out there, so that way when you take, at the beginning of your round, you get certain resources, you get all these resources that you've built up. Or when you're doing a trade, at the market, you're able to mess with a whole bunch of things and get a whole bunch of trades because of the way you manipulated your board. So I love getting those lifelines.
I felt like a part of this game, at the heart of at least part of this game, was just set collection, right? So there's all these bonus cards that you can get, and it's a set collection. You're trying to get X amount of these things so you can claim this token or do this thing. And so I really enjoyed that. Like, once I understood that's what was happening, I'm like, awesome. I can focus in on this, I can understand this, and I can accomplish this. And I did.
I was also very intimidated by the scope of this game. You open it up and there's just a ton of cards. There's this whole big 3D thing. You don't know what's going on. You're setting up all these different factions. 9 different places on the board where your ships can go. 4 different spots where your leader can go. And you're just like, well, this is too much, you know. But then once you start playing it, it is smooth as silk. There's there's a little bit of a learning curve, but once you have it down, there's not much there to slow you down. It just works very, very smoothly. It came together almost immediately as soon as you started taking turns. So between the theme and the gameplay, they match together really well. It's you're kind of building up to going to these top layers. You need to be surrounded by your crew, or else you get less points and all those things. So I thought they did a great job combining those themes, those mechanisms, making it so that it all came together in a way that was fun to play, looked cool, but also at the same time wasn't. It was smooth. It was streamlined.
So this is definitely a game where you have to do a little bit of everything in order to be viable to win. However, I felt like there are still different opportunities and different paths to victory. All the times that Ryan and I played, we definitely tried different things than what the other person was doing, and we are always within a couple of points of each other, like 5 to 10 points of each other. And so I felt like that this game gave you a lot of different options of things that you could explore, and that was great. It wasn't like, well, so-and-so is doing that, so now I can't, like, it's pointless now, because I didn't feel like that in this game. I felt like I always had a chance to do something, and I always had a way to potentially, but probably not, but potentially win. So I liked that aspect of this game. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Again, don't forget to subscribe so you can see our videos as they come out. Remember, this is how they came out. And don't forget, you can follow us on all of these places. We try to provide you slightly different content in all these places, so you want to make sure to follow us there.
You guys, thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye.